Alex Eala's Manila Fan Meet sells out Glorietta in minutes. That is the sentence bouncing around Filipino tennis Twitter tonight, 48 hours before a single person has walked through the door. And it is worth asking out loud whether that sentence is even true, because on Wednesday, July 15, 2026 at the Glorietta Activity Center in Makati City, there are no tickets to sell. Globe Telecom, the company that signed Eala as an ambassador years before she was famous, has announced the event as free and open to the public. Registration at 4 in the afternoon, program at 6 o'clock, access details still being finalized as recently as last week. Nothing is being sold. And yet, the sentence keeps traveling because everyone reading it understands what it actually means. It means that a 21-year-old who was ranked outside the top 100 a year ago is about to walk into a shopping mall in her own country, and the country is going to arrange itself around her arrival. This is a story about what that sentence gets wrong on the surface and what it gets exactly right underneath. 6 days before Wednesday, Alex Eala walked off center court at Wimbledon, having become the first Filipina in history to reach the round of 16 of a Grand Slam. She lost that round to Jasmine Paolini of Italy 4-6, 6-4, 3-6, winning the middle set and unable to close the third. 2 days later, she was on a plane. And on Sunday, July 12th, she landed at Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 3 to a crowd that turned an ordinary arrivals hall into something closer to a stadium, greeted personally by the president of the Philippine Olympic Committee, Representative Abraham Bombal Tolentino. That was 3 days ago. Wednesday is the country's turn. There is a question tennis has been quietly asking about Alex Eala for most of 2026, and it isn't the question you'd expect. It isn't whether she can beat top 10 players. She has now beaten 7 of them. Most recently, the defending Wimbledon champion Aga on center court in straight sets 7-6 in the tie-break 11-9 then 6-2. That question is answered. The question tennis is asking is whether one 21-year-old can absorb the weight of an entire country's projection without deforming under it. Because the projection is real and it is heavy, and other players who have carried something like it have said so out loud. And Jabba, carrying North Africa, has talked about the specific kind of pressure that comes with being the face of a nation. A pressure that does not resemble ordinary tennis pressure. The Filipino fanbase has at moments disrupted matches and created logistical problems for tournament organizers who were not prepared for the volume of it. Novak Djokovic, asked about the crowds trailing Aya at the Australian Open in January, called it a good problem to have. That is a diplomat's phrase, and diplomats use those phrases when the honest answer is more complicated. The honest answer is that carrying a country is a gift and a burden in the same motion. And the question underneath Wednesday's fan meet, underneath the viral sentence about Glorietta selling out, is whether Eala can hold both without dropping either. Everything you need to understand about Wednesday is contained in 5 months of tennis before it. So start there. Start with the Shuayon match. Swiatek was the defending Wimbledon champion and the world number 3 center court third round Saturday afternoon in London. EA won it 7-6 in a tie-break that went to 11-9, and then she took the second set 6-2. And when the match was over, she told ABS-CBN in Tagalog about the design her team had put on her racket bag without telling her. Actually surprised. Actually, this was a surprise to me. They made this. They showed it to me. It is a small quote. It matters because it is the sound of a player who had just beaten the defending champion of a Grand Slam on center court and was in the same breath being genuinely surprised by something small. That is the register in which she operates. The next round she lost to Paolini in 3. She left London with the best Grand Slam result of her career. The 300,000 prize check that comes with a round of 16 finish and the flight home to a country that had been waiting for her before she was ever a headline. Now widen the lens, because London was not an accident. It was the crest of a wave. And the wave has been building all year. In January, she headlined the inaugural Philippine Women's Open at Rizal Memorial Tennis Center, the first WTA tournament ever hosted on Philippine soil. In February and March, she went to Dubai and reached the quarterfinals of the Dubai Tennis Championships, and every single one of her matches sold out. Not the phrase, the actual thing. Every match sold out. When she played Coco Gauff in the same tournament, Gauff, a Grand Slam champion and American star, said afterward, "I've played this tournament for many years, and to see the stadium full, it means a lot." She was not talking about her own draw. She was talking about Eala's. Then came Indian Wells in March, where front office sports reporters watched several thousand fans stay in the cold at Stadium 3 until almost midnight for a second-round match, and where her practice sessions pulled crowds comparable to Carlos Alcaraz, Jannik Sinner, and Venus Williams on courts a few feet away. In Melbourne in January, her first-round loss had been assigned to a smaller court and fans were forced to stand packed against the fencing because the tournament had not anticipated the volume. That is a 5-mon pattern. That is what the viral sentence about Glorietta is actually referencing. Whether the people sharing it know it or not. Here is the breathing space because you need it. Consider what has happened to the Philippines' relationship with tennis in the 6 months between January and July of 2026. In January, the country hosted its first ever WTA tournament. In July, one of its citizens reached the round of 16 of a Grand Slam for the first time in national history. That is not a normal timeline. That is a country and an athlete accelerating together in a way that does not usually happen in a sport this old. Which brings us to the third cluster of evidence and to the reason Wednesday matters more than a fan meet should. Because a fan meet is not on paper a sporting event. It is a shopping mall appearance. Registration opens at 4 p.m. The program begins at 6 p.m. There are no tickets, no brackets, no scoreboards, and no championship points on the line. Yet by Wednesday evening, Ayala Avenue and Glorietta in Makati are expected to feel less like a shopping district and more like the center of Philippine sports. And the reason isn't clever marketing. It's something much deeper. Filipino sports journalist TJ Manatok captured it perfectly when he said, "The country has been hungry for the next Manny Pacquiao. When Manny was at his peak, life stopped. Roads emptied. Everyone watched." That isn't just a comparison. It's the emotional context behind everything happening this week. The Philippines hasn't been waiting since Wimbledon. It hasn't been waiting since Dubai. It hasn't even been waiting since Alex Eala's breakthrough in Miami. The country has been waiting for years. And now, without any official announcement or national vote, millions of Filipinos have quietly reached the same conclusion. Their next sporting icon has arrived. That is what Wednesday really represents. This isn't the day Filipinos discover Alex Eala. It's the day Alex Eala discovers just how deeply her country already believes in her. For months, the tennis world has been sending the same message. Novak Djokovic described the enormous Filipino crowds following Alex as a good problem to have. Andy Roddick praised her rise on his podcast, calling it exactly the kind of story tennis needs. BNP Paribas Open executives openly admitted they embraced the excitement she generated because it energized the tournament. Coco Gauff spoke about packed stadiums whenever Alex played. Following Eala's stunning Wimbledon victory over Iga Swiatek, congratulations poured in from tennis legends and global icons, including Billie Jean King, Venus Williams, Maria Sharapova, and even Catherine, Princess of Wales. Think about that for a moment. Those are some of the biggest names the sport has ever known. And today, a 21-year-old from Manila is standing among them. Whether the tennis world has fully processed her rise or not, one thing is undeniable. Everyone has turned to look. But Wednesday isn't the destination. It's the beginning of the next chapter. Only 12 days later, on July 27th, Alex returns to competition at the Mubadala DC Open in Washington, a prestigious WTA 500 event. After that come the Canadian Open, Cincinnati, and finally, the US Open, beginning on August 30th, where another Grand Slam opportunity awaits. Her ranking has climbed into the world's elite. Her prize money has soared into 7 figures. Those achievements matter. But none of them explain what Wednesday means. Because Wednesday isn't about statistics. It's about something that never appears beside a player's ranking. Belief. This is the day the Philippines tells Alex Eala, face to face, exactly what she has come to represent. So when she walks onto the hard courts in Washington less than 2 weeks later, she won't feel like she's competing alone. She'll carry an entire nation with her. That support didn't exist a year ago. It has been built, one tournament at a time. It started in Manila. It grew in Dubai. It exploded at Indian Wells. It reached Europe. It stunned Wimbledon. And now it comes home, inside a shopping mall just a few kilometers from where Alex grew up. Yet amid all the celebration, one important fact shouldn't be forgotten. Alex isn't returning home undefeated. Her last competitive match remains the heartbreaking 3-set loss to Jasmine Paolini at Wimbledon, 4-6, 6-4, 3-6. She fought back brilliantly to win the second set. She pushed one of the world's best players until the very end. But the final set slipped away. That's sport. Alex hasn't spoken publicly at length about that defeat, and there's no need to invent emotions she hasn't expressed. What we do know is simple. Her flight home had already been booked. She was always coming back to Manila. The only question was how. Would she return as a fourth-round Grand Slam player? Or as something even bigger? As it turned out, she came home as both. The airport filled with supporters. The welcome was unforgettable. And on Wednesday, thousands more will gather again, not because she won Wimbledon, but because she made the nation believe. That's the real story. Which brings us back to the headline everyone keeps sharing. Alex Eala's Manila Fan Meet sold out in minutes. Technically, it isn't true. Nothing was ever sold. There were no tickets. No online queue. No countdown clock. Just an open invitation. A registration desk opening at 4 p.m. A program beginning at 6 p.m. A young woman walking through the doors with security beside her and a speech she may or may not follow. Nothing was sold. Yet somehow, everything was already spoken for. Because the crowd had made its decision long before Wimbledon. Long before the airport welcome. Long before this week's headlines. The decision was made during Miami. It grew during Dubai. It became impossible to ignore at Indian Wells. And it reached its defining moment on center court at Wimbledon, where one unforgettable score became part of Philippine sports history. 7-6, 11-9, 6-2. By the time Alex Eala steps onto the Glorietta stage, the fans won't need reminding. They'll already know every point, every victory, every sacrifice. Most of all, they'll know the name they'll be chanting. A name that once belonged to one family in Manila. A name that now belongs to an entire nation. Alex Eala belongs on center court. She belongs in Glorietta. And on Wednesday evening, those two worlds finally become one. If this is only the beginning, the next chapter starts in Washington on July 27th, continues through the North American hardcourt swing, and builds toward the US Open. If you don't want to miss what happens next, subscribe, turn on notifications, and stay with us, because one of the biggest stories in world tennis is only getting started. And fittingly, its next chapter begins not inside a Grand Slam stadium, but inside a shopping mall in Makati, where no ticket was ever required, and where history was always going to show up.